If you like to focus on the positive and steer away from the negative, you're in the right place. Welcome, all Joy Bunnies. This is the My Slice of Life podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the My Slice of Life podcast. And this week, this is all about looking after you. This season is putting the joy back into the everyday. So I thought, do you know what? You have to look after you every day. So let's have a look at that and see what we can do about it. If you're new to the podcast, you are very welcome. My name is Sharon. I am your Highland host and I am trying to encourage everybody to join. I'm sorry for the term. It's the Joy Bunny clan. This just snowballed. I don't know what's happened. The term Joy Bunnies came into my head. It's gone mad. So that's what we are. We're going to be a clan of Joy Bunnies. If you would like to join, you are very, very welcome. This podcast and the whole My Slice of Life thing that I have going, it's all about really trying to get people to focus on the positive and stay away from the negative and the doom and gloom, because there's too much of it. And even if you feel that you're not an optimistic person or you struggle to find the bright side or the lighter side of life, that's what this is all about. So you're in the right place, and that's what I'm trying to help people do and encourage them to do more in their everyday life. So whether you're listening to the podcast or there's a blog and YouTube channel, that's what it's all about. We are becoming Joy Bunnies. We're creating a clan and we are making an effort to find that brighter, lighter side of life every single day in any way we can. So that's what we're here to do. So this week, looking after you. And now I did cover some of this kind of stuff. If you go back, there was a previous episode. Season 2 was all about being prepared, and it was, preparing to look after yourself. So I've got a few different things that I want to mention this time. Some are more relevant because I've just been doing some of them. I'll get into that later. But the very first thing I'm going to mention is sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, you're screwed. Let's face it. We have to make sure we have good quality and a good quantity of sleep, and that will depend on a lot of things. But as I discovered a few months ago, the mattress is one of them. Now, we did splash out, mentioned this before. We got a new mattress, and you see when I put it beside the old one, holy heck, it was chalk and cheese. I thought, no wonder I can't move when I wake up in the morning. It was just horrendous. The difference was amazing. Now, I found a book I'm having a clear out, as always. I'm still on a decluttering train, but I found a book all about immune system, which I will be coming back to. And they were saying if you're getting between 6.5 and 8 hours sleep, that's the kind of recommended great amount. More than that, they say don't bother, and they say don't do less than that, which I found kind of weird. Some people are fine on 5 hours and some people need 10, but they're saying between 6.5 and 8 is what we should be going for. So have a think about when you're going to bed, when you're getting up. It's one of those things we all know what we should do, but we can very easily fall into bad bed habits. And I know over Christmas, New Year, I did that. The problem we have in this house, we're all night owls. All 3 of us are night owls. So this whole going to bed at a reasonable time, getting up early, especially in the winter, I really struggle. Tell me I'm not the only one, please. So, you know what to do with sleep? Cool, crack on. I'm going to mention now dental care. This is looking after you every single day. Now, if you live in the UK, you might be thinking, dental care, don't make me laugh, because in a lot of places, we just can't get dentists. I know the rest of the world takes the mickey out of us for having bad teeth, but you try living here and getting a dentist. It's not easy. I did have an excellent dentist. But then we got moved from him and I actually got shipped out to another dentist. And I think I last saw him, he was good, don't get me wrong, but I have to go by memory because the last time I saw him was about 3 years ago. I think. Could be less, could be 2 years, but it's been years. So that's one thing to take into account. And we all know we should be flossing, but can you honestly say you do that every single day? I aim for couple of times a week, or if I'm having a problem. There you go, I said it. And the other thing I have been looking at recently is toothpaste. I changed our toothpaste. I've been going for the natural ones. I don't do fluoride. There you go, I've said it. Come at me, I don't care. But I've been finding out, they say there's this thing called hydroxyapatite. I think that's how you pronounce it. Because I was listening to a podcast called Ask the Dentist, and he was been talking about that a lot. But he was saying there has to be a very specific place with the toothpaste makers source their hydroxyapatite. So I'm trying to find a good toothpaste with that in it from the right source, and it's kind of tricky. I did ask the company that we use just now, but they said they can't tell me for security reasons or some. I don't get it either. Well, I don't know. How am I going to change your security if you just tell me where you source your hydroxyapatite? Don't know. That's something to think about. Dental care. People don't really mention it an awful lot, but it's important. Now, when it comes to hair care, do you have regular haircuts? I know when everybody was locked in their houses and we were all put under house arrest, people started cutting their own hair, and I was one of them. I have a lovely hairdresser. I love my hairdresser. She's lovely. I don't see her often enough. Are you somebody who goes to the hairdresser regularly? Do you do weekly treatments on your hair? Do you spend time just sitting brushing it? They used to do in the old days, they would just sit and brush their hair. There's a reason they do that. And when you do that, you actually see your hair sits better and just less static. So it's something that, I don't know about you, but in the morning I give it a quick comb, tie it up, and I'm off. So I personally need to spend more time on my hair. Skincare, I'm just going to mention it briefly because it's not an area I'm an expert in. As a teenager, I had horrendous acne and yes, was bullied mercilessly for it at high school. Thanks very much, still carrying the mental scars. But does your skin show signs of dehydration? Do you exfoliate? Do you scrub? Now here's a new one I've just discovered. I say a new one. Look, see, when I say that, that means it's new to me, and I'm always last to the party for anything. I got a jade roller. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this little gadget with a big roller on one side, a little roller on the other, and you're supposed to roll it over your face. It's great. They claim it helps with circulation, puffiness, wrinkles. That's the one I'm aiming for. I'm going to be 50 this year. I don't want wrinkles. I don't want to look 50. I know I do at the moment look 50 plus, but I'm trying to make it a little better. Which also ties in with diet. We all know we need to eat a balanced diet with plenty of veg, plenty of fruit. There's, oh my God, there's about 1,000 different diets they want to do. I mean, you can be paleo, you could do keto, you can be pescatarian, you could be, there's my door going, you could be vegetarian, you could do anything. I don't think we need to go down that road. I think just having a balanced diet with common sense. We know not to eat a ton of processed foods. We know what we should be eating. But I would say, I keep banging on about it, do a meal plan and batch cook whenever you can to save yourself a lot of stress and a lot of hassle. It just makes things easier. It's common sense. Now, leading on from that, I am going to mention juicing. Are you a juicer? And the reason I'm bringing it up is I just did a week's juice cleanse. And it's not the first time I've done it. It usually goes a lot better for me than it did this time. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's because I didn't read the book that I normally read that gets me mentally prepared for it. If you haven't heard of what I'm talking about, there's a guy called Jason Vale, and in the UK we call him like the juicing guru. And after Christmas he always encourages people to come together and we'll do a week of juicing to kind of detox after all that stuff we've eaten and drank over Christmas. Sounds a great idea. And like I say, for me it normally works. I normally lose at least 7 pounds and feel a lot better. But I didn't feel good this time at all. I ran into a few problems, one of them being the homeschooling was just starting up. And for some reason, the whole thing of winter just got to me a little bit more that last week. I don't know what was going on. I found I didn't have enough time to make as many juices as you're supposed to have. Like he was saying 5 a day, I was having 2, 3. So I was finding I was getting a little dizzy. I just wasn't getting enough. So I started making them bigger so I didn't have to keep doing it, because let's face it, cleaning out the juicer, it is a pain in the rear end. So I try to make them bigger and make them last longer. And I kept waiting for the juicing high to come when the energy levels go up and you're really motivated and you feel lighter. It just didn't come. I don't know whether it was a hormonal thing or what was going on, but I was just angry and miserable. So by Sunday, I more or less gave up, I'll be honest. I just thought, nah, it's not working. So I am going to try it again later when I'm more mentally prepared and the weather isn't affecting me quite as much. So I'm not giving up on that. I've done it before and I know it works for me. It just didn't work last week. So that's that one. Another big aspect of looking after yourself is organising your time. Now, I have covered it before, but the two main things I want to mention is prioritise and delegate. So prioritise what you want to do. And if you haven't given this much thought, one of the techniques that I did mention in a previous one, I think it was one of the stress episodes that I did, if you have a list of to-dos, we all have our to-do list. I know people are talking, write a to-don't list. I haven't got enough time to write down the things I shouldn't be doing. I'm writing down what I need to do. That's just the way I am. So write down, I suggest write down what you need to do and then prioritise them. So in A are the things that have to get done, and then have a column of B where it's like, okay, I can do that after, and C, you're like, yeah, I'll get to them eventually. And then put your wee jobs into them, go to your list of A's and work through them. Now for me, that really, really helps. And make sure I get everything done. But especially when you get to your list, your C list of things that are like, yeah, I'll get to them. See if you can delegate them. Take them off your list completely. I think that would be a help. I hope it works. Now, speaking of the stress management, I say that organising your time was something I covered in that episode. I did 2 episodes on it actually, covering what stress does to us, how to cope with it, relaxation techniques, all that kind of thing. So if you've missed that and that's something you think you would benefit from, please go and find them. It was season 1, way back. I'm only on season 3. But I'm going to tie into this. It's something that I hear people talking a lot about. They're worrying, just constant worrying. And it could be anything, like even small little niggly things. And it's something I used to do until I don't know, it's a mental thing you have to get into your head. It achieves absolutely nothing except wasting your time and energy. And I think time and energy are things that people are usually in short supply of, so don't waste them on worrying. And if you find you can't stop these thoughts and you're constantly worrying, I'm going to refer you back to last week's episode, using music to help you every day, and use it. Listen to the music. Distraction techniques can really help if you find you're worrying about things or you've got thoughts that just constantly go over in your mind. Distract yourself. Get that music on. And one of the techniques I did discuss last week, if you find a song that matches the mood you're in and you can change your music that you listen to song by song to take you to the mood you want to get to. So try that if this worrying and being stressed out is a place that you're at just now. And one big thing, I think, if you're looking after yourself well every day, do something that makes you happy every day. Whether it's gardening, which I'm not going to be doing just now because we are covered in snow at the moment, craft work, take the dog for a walk. I was playing in the snow with Scooby. He loves it. It was funny. He's a lurcher. They do zoomies. They run round the garden. They go mad. And I had the snow shovel and I was flicking the snow up into the air and he was jumping all over the place trying to catch it and eat it. Oh, it's great fun. I was actually trying to make a shelter for the birds because every time I put the food out, I put a lot on the ground because we've got a lot of ground feeders that come to the garden. So every time I did that, of course, the snow would fall. They couldn't find the food. So I tried to put a little cover out so I'd have a bit of ground clear that I could then put the food out. I love watching the birds. It makes me happy. Anyway, Scooby came out to help, so we ended up playing in the snow instead. What about reading? When's the last time you sat with a good book? At least try and get 10, 15 minutes even every day. Read something that you really like. Or maybe you want to spend more time in nature or just outside. A biggie, I think, and we're all guilty of it. Get away from this screen. We have to spend less time in front of these blooming screens. And don't be too late to bed. I know that ties us back rather nicely to the very first thing. But that's the whole day, isn't it? That's all these things that we do every single day to look after ourselves. And not just look after ourselves, but do it to the best of our abilities. if we don't look after ourselves, who else is going to do it? So that's what I want you to do. I want you to look after yourself every single day. Find things that make you happy. Get yourself well. And don't forget that immune system. Now, I did say I was going to mention the immune system. And what I wanted to point out was one thing that I read today. And we all know, the fruits, the veggies, the daylight, get the vitamin D, vitamin C. We know these things. But the one thing that I read, and I want, if you take nothing else away, take this away, because this ties in with everything I'm trying to achieve with the whole My Slice of Life world that I've got going on in this whole Joy Bonnie clan. I can't remember the name of the book. It was to do with improving your immune system. I wish I could remember who wrote it, but I can't at the moment. But it was saying one big thing you can do to boost your immune system is to have a positive attitude. Apparently that makes a huge difference. So if you take nothing else away from this, I want you to remember that and try every day to keep that attitude positive, or at least try and look for the positives in the situation you're in. So that's it this week. I hope that helps and you get something out of this week's episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Can't believe it. If you would like to support the channel, there are links below for you to have a wee look at. You could go to the blog, YouTube channel. If you want to become a patron of the show, feel free. There's a link there for you too. Or if you'd rather just buy me a coffee, you can do that instead. So if you do want to support the show, but you can't do Patreon or buy me a coffee, tell as many people as you can. Help the show grow. That would be fantastic support. That would really, really help me, and I'd appreciate it no end. I'm not joking. And don't forget, if you want to start your own podcast, use my link and you will get your first month with Podbean free. And if you want to advertise, if you're in business and you'd like some advertising, you can also use my link and get $100 of free advertising on Podbean. So that's not bad either. So that's going to have to do it for this week. Until next time, you take care of your wee self.